So, just to let you know, we're running a bit late. We will continue to run a bit late, so you still get the full time. You can't get enough of that, can you? You could probably have carried on. So, we've set the scene. We've got some ideas about what AI is and what it can do. I'm going to introduce Liam and Leanne, if you'd like to join me on stage here. We're going to take a very different direction now. So we're going to talk about education and the ways in which AI could potentially help make education more accessible. Actually, do you want to move slightly that way? Because Kate's going to appear, isn't she? Yeah. So we've deliberately set this up as a contrast almost. So Katrina's involvement in the government sort of strategies around AI, Perry's chickens with step counts on their eggs. We're not going to be talking about that, but that's the big picture stuff, right? So, but what we've got today, hi Kate, can you hear us? Hi.
Hi there.
What we're going to talk about now is something quite practical in terms of the application of AI within the classroom and within education. So I'm joined by Leanne and Kate and Liam. And in particular thinking about a couple of things. One is, what can it do? Because I think we've all got some examples. Perry's telling us, get in there, use the stuff. And those of us who are using it every day are listening for tricks from someone else who said, hey, you can ask it this, particularly when you're using Bard or ChatGPT, you're using cues from someone else who said, have you tried doing it this way? So that's the sort of practicality stuff that I'm hoping many of you in the audience are trying, because that's the way that we learn it, I think. But also, how are we going to get people to adopt it when it is working? So if we find things that work, if we find things that are positive in terms of whether it's particular disability or any other application that we think of, how do we get people to adopt it and work with them to encourage them to use it? And then finally, how do we share those lessons in a broader sense? And I think the parallel for our community in terms of accessibility is very obvious, that little pockets of good practice will pop up. How do we grow that knowledge? So, pleased to say that Liam and Leanne and Kate are here from the Gower College in Swansea, and they're going to talk about their experience within further education and some higher education courses in the college. Liam, I'm going to start with you, and I'm going to get you to turn slightly that way because you look like you're facing a different group of people to us. So that's perfect. Thank you. Sorry. So, Liam, you're working within the college. Can you tell us what your role is, and then give us some examples of some of the stuff you're using AI for in the classroom?
So I work in Gower College, which is a further education college in Swansea. I work in the department that supports learners with additional learning needs, so it's an independent living skills department. I've been working in that department for 30 years now, so it's a long time, since I was 2. And we have a non-accredited curriculum, which has been a change over the last few years in Wales, where our curriculum now is based for learners 16 plus around 4 pillars of well-being, community, employability and independent living skills. And the holy grail for us is to create destination-led, person-centred learning. So our learners come to us with their individual development plans and with their ideas about what they want their long-term goals to be. And it is our job to get them to their long-term goal, which is easier said than done. We've got 170 learners in our department, and with all this information now that's coming through with the IDPs, that the more information we've got, the harder it is to do something with this information. So as part of this AI project in the college, I've been working on using AI to try and develop bespoke learning programs that fit into the existing curriculum. So for example, I would take information from a student's one-page profile, and within their one-page profile, the students will talk about their learning styles, they will talk about their preferences, their interests, and, as well as their long-term goal. And I will use AI to create a bespoke package for that learner based around the 4 pillars, taking into account their one-page profiles and the stuff that they're interested in and the way they like to work. And hopefully, with that information, then we can start creating a more person-centred teaching experience for the learners. In turn, that's strangely, AI is making me more human in the classroom because it's looking after the things that are really difficult, which is time. If anybody is a teacher in here, we all know that time is a really important thing, and it enables me to focus more on my learners, and they understand that I see them rather than just generically teaching a class. I see them, I understand their destination, and I've got the tools and the assistance I need from OpenAI that we can work together to make a plan in order to get the best out of their college experience. Yeah.
So a few questions about that then. So you mentioned OpenAI, and I'm guessing, are you using publicly available tools? Are they built into the things that you're using? So
just publicly available.
And is that just built on your own curiosity? Is this is this the type of thing that you do over those 30 years? You're at the leading edge. And
well, I think I've spent 30 years trying to do my best to do right by my learners, and it's really difficult, even with all the experience and all the knowledge that I have. And then I discovered OpenAI, and I thought, we can do something with this. And it's just been so useful. It's just such a support. Clearly the power is in the prompt, and the relationship you have with whatever open source you're using, I think, is integral, and you can learn together and you can kind of exist together. It knows what you want and what you're appreciating from it, and it's that sort of collaboration that I'm really interested in developing.
And colleagues working with you on that? Is that sort of a lone project? How's it going within the college generally?
I think are
you the AI
I'm not
guy?
telling anyone at the moment, because I think a lot of people are freaked out. But I think once I get a comfortable feeling with it, then I'm going to feel more confident and more able to impart that to my colleagues. There are a few people within our staff room that are, giving it a nod, but also new teachers. I don't know if anyone's ever been trained to be a teacher, but the first few years of when you're teaching so self-effacing, and you're so caught up in your prior planning and preparation prevents poor performance, and ultimately you forget about the people that you're teaching. You just worry about the content and worry about your lesson plan and worry about, with AI looking after that with new teachers, and also being able to adjust lesson plans for neurodiverse learners and learners with additional learning needs, I feel that the teacher is able to then focus more on the learner in front of them, and it becomes a more personal experience rather than worrying about their planning.
So you've touched on something which I had thought in terms of an example was lesson planning.
Yeah.
So how are you doing that? I mean, are you dropping in an existing lesson plan and asking it to adapt for neurodiverse learners? Is it that simple in terms of the prompts, or is there more to it than that?
Well, we've got two things running at the moment. Leanne will talk a little bit more about Teachermatic.
Yeah.
I used GPT before Teachermatic came in, so I'd kind of built my relationship with it already, and I'm sort of sticking with it for now. But I either use it I drop in old lesson plans that I might have had to do with certain subjects in the curriculum, and now if I've got a group of learners, maybe I think I had a group of learners where 4 or 5 of them in the class had ADHD. So I was able to tailor my lesson and just say, look, I need something for these guys, please. And a lovely active lesson that didn't involve much, sitting round, and it was able to tailor that lesson. It comes back to the universal design. The lesson was good for everyone. It wasn't just good for the learners who needed that. And it was, I come back to my, a ramp is good for everyone. And therefore, if within the lesson we can create that universal design, rather than an adaptation or a differentiated task or an add-on. If the design is great, then one size will fit all in the classroom. Yeah.
Any surprises that from amongst those things that you're going, of course it can do that?
No, only recently with the inputting tables and information, and getting results from, the one-page profiles, which was a real revelation. Happened last week, so. Yeah, if I'd been here the week before, I wouldn't have had. So,
but that's how fast
all the
it's
time.
changing.
Yeah.
Cool. And I'm just finally, how much time is that taking? Is that adding time or removing time from your day? You're talking about the benefit in the classroom.
It's removing time. I mean, it's adding time at the moment because I'm super excited about it. So I'm kind of pursuing this as some huge revelation. I mean, I might get bored in a few years, but at the moment it's adding time. But it's really exciting.
Cool. Thank you. So, Leanne, tell me about your role and the connection to Liam and then the broader college.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. So I'm the Teaching, Learning and Professional Development Manager for our college. So I'm going to say what my job description is, what I believe my job is to support my teaching staff to be the best they can be and to provide the most supportive and respectful and experiential learning environments for our learners as possible. That's what I see my job is to support them to do that. Liam is one of what we refer to as a digital peer mentor. So Liam looks after sort of executing the training and the delivery of tools that we identify and help rolling that out. He does that within the faculty and the department that he's assigned to. But he is part of the bigger AI project that we've got going on, myself and my colleague Kate on screen co-wrote, because one of the things I have to do is to support my teaching staff is to make sure that I'm responsive and reactive to anything that is happening, because if we've got to get learners ready, we've got to make sure we're responding. So obviously AI, little thing just arrived, and we created a bid that we got Welsh Government funding for, to be able to identify a series of tools that our practitioners can use in the classroom. But the most important thing is that the golden thread under the selection of these tools that we are using is that it has to be accessible, because we come from the principle of universal design. We want to make sure that we're developing lessons that are inclusive for everybody. I go back to Liam's ramp analogy. A good lesson for the most complex need is good for every learner. And we have to remember that inclusivity is about the highest ability, not just somebody with an identified disability. Okay, and we have to create those environments. And what tools like ChatGPT have been able to do, and I'll talk to you about how we're structuring it in a moment, is it's allowed us to go into the classroom and go to my practitioners who are sometimes, I've got to be honest, stuck in a rut, stuck in the way of executing things, do what they've always done, but they can't get what they've always got because our learners are different. So what we're doing is then selecting a series of tools, and we are trying to encourage people to go back, take their existing lessons, chuck it in to ChatGPT or chuck it into a tool, put in the complexities and the needs of that environment and the mixture of learners that they've got, and look for a refreshed look at their curriculum and how they can deliver it and how they can execute it. And to make sure that they're creating an activity that actually is inclusive for everybody, not an add-on, not a bolt-on, because inclusive education isn't about creating a bolt-on, it's about making sure that everybody's experience is the best that it can be. And we're doing that through a series of tools that we are being funded for. And my digital peer mentors are part of a team that are going to pilot and try, and it echoes something that was said in the last session. We're looking for the challenges, we're looking for the barriers, we're looking for the successes. How does it work? Why does it work? Who does it work for? And ChatGPT is one of those tools. We're also using a planning tool called Teachermatic. Teachermatic is a tool that runs with large language models running as a generator in the background. And what it has is a series of educational prompts. So sorry for anyone that's not in education, but lesson plans, schemes of work, that kind of thing. And what it allows you to do is to put the complexity and the needs of your class in through a series of prompts, simple drag and drop prompts. So let's just say you're creating a lesson on, just give me a lesson, microorganisms, okay? Why is it you can never think of anything at the time? And you want to be able to create that. You can put the pitch of that level, so the complexity, with a simple bar for that learner. But you can also drop in if you've got a learner with identified learning needs. You can put in if they're first language, second language. You can put in if they've got dyscalculia, if they've got dyslexia, all of those complexities. And what it does, it means it looks at all of that curriculum and it identifies a number of activities or ideas or resources that you can look at. And this is where your professionalism comes in. It's the time save, absolutely. Because sometimes you're sitting there going, how on earth am I going to create this? But what it does, it creates this inclusive set of activities that you with your professional eye can go, actually, I like that. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to tweak that a little bit. But what you know is that's going to work. The principles have been covered. All of your learners have been catered for in that environment. And that's where that time save is so important. But for me, I know my practitioners are now looking at everything from an inclusive, not a bolt-on level. And that's really, really important for me. And it's done through a digital framework as well. So our digital peer mentors, there's 15 of them now. We've created a staff digital framework that maps the Microsoft tools, because we are a Microsoft college, maps those tools and any other tools that we use. So take Teachermatic, for example. And it's created a series of what we call digital user skills, so the entry level activities, then digital practitioner and digital transformer, and it elevates the skills along the way. But along that journey, practitioners are learning how to use all the various tools, But at each level, there's built in as an accessibility level, how they're elevating. So it could be something as simple as formatting a Word document using a contents page, but right up to transformer level, where how they're making sure that captions and then translations and everything else is going out as part of their PowerPoints and multi-translated versions and all sorts of things. So that's done through a digital staff training framework. And PGC is the teaching qualification, so that sits under my remit. And although, and it's quite sad to say, ALN and digital tech are not part of a PGC education, not part of the actual programme, but we've built that in. We put extra sessions on, so if we've written those modules and models in, because I want new practitioners to come in only thinking about universal design. I want them to not think about differentiation is a thing they have to do, it's the thing they always do. And that's where we come from with PGC. And I've also written a degree for BA Education, ALN and Wellbeing, and within that is a module for technology and education. And it's not about saying this is how you use Kahoot to make your students excited. It's actually, this is how you use technology and how important it is to support your learners. And we're going to be offering that out to the whole of the sector. So anybody in education that is already qualified or is in a new environment can come and study that with us as a micro-credential, because we firmly believe that the only way to do it is to educate the new or to refresh those that are willing. And whilst AI isn't going to take a teacher's job, a teacher that can use AI will. And that's what we're trying to get across, because we have to. So that's what we're doing. That's
fantastic. An incredible range of stuff there. And obviously that progression from the classroom with Liam and through to the educational system that you're engaged in and improving. I just want to turn our head slightly. What sort of barriers are you facing? What sorts of things
teachers.
do you hear? Yeah.
Terrified teachers, the perception of AI. Like, teachers don't want to change anything. Teachers don't like, it's true, isn't it? Yeah, they don't want to change anything.
Not all of them.
The idea of saying, can you refresh your marking criteria? What? I've spent 15 years writing this to make it work. That, it's the perception that it takes. It's a barrier. It's a perception that it's time consuming, not time saving. And fear. So we keep selling everything from look, this is how it improves your workload. This is how, actually, it can give you time in the classroom. It allows you to be a teacher again, because you're not spending 10 hours planning, you're spending 10 hours actually delivering. So that's the way we're coming at everything. But my colleague Kate will also talk about how we're challenging some of the barriers from a top-down approach as well.
Oh, perfect segue. So, Kate, as if we had rehearsed it, I'm sorry you're not here with us today, but can you tell me about your role in this project and the overall sort of programme, and also, I'm sure there will be people who want to learn more about the programme and what the outputs are going to be, because that's the point of the exercise as well, isn't it? So, a little bit of background about yourself, but also the programme that you're working on.
So, hi, apologies for not being with you today. I'm the Digital Solutions Manager for the college. So I look after e-learning websites and all our digital platforms. So the project that we're working on at the moment, which is a AI explorative project within education, is funded under Welsh Government under their Digital 2030 strategy. So this is a strategy that covers the whole of higher education and further education in Wales. And its main aim is to make sure that we equip young people with the skills that they need to succeed in education and then onto employment. So our project, one of 3 that were funded across Wales, aims to address some of the priorities in the Digital 2030 strategy through the lens of AI. Leanne's already touched on this, but it's got very broad aims, of which there are many. But things that underpin those aims are the use of AI to support learners, to support staff and improve capabilities, competencies and confidence with both learners and staff in using AI, and how AI can support learners on their educational pathways. We're also really keen, and I know Liam's already spoken about this, to look at how AI can be used to break down barriers that many of our learners face when they're trying to access their curriculum. This is obviously crucial in terms of our success as an educational institution. You know, our main aim is to make sure that all learners meet their full potential, whatever that potential may be. And accessibility is a thread that runs through all of the main aims and outputs of our investigation and trials within this project. And it also underpins the college's strategic aim and one of their strategic priorities on our digital accessibility journey. The project will also attempt to address the anxieties around AI, anxieties around academic integrity, the notion that AI can be used to cheat rather than to help. And we're hoping to do this in collaboration with college partners across FE in Wales and bring together advice, guidance and strategies that we can share across the community. We also understand within the project the need to support learners outside the classroom. Often we find that the barriers that they face aren't really surfaced in the classroom environment because they're not comfortable to share their difficulties with teaching staff. So we're really keen within the project to make sure our supporting services such as libraries can help students use AI to break down some of those barriers and address some of those challenges and use it for things to help them revise, summarise text. And it's very much a complementary tool to traditional learning rather than a challenge, to it really. We don't have all of the answers in the work that we're doing at the moment. We may not address all of the aims and objectives that we've set out within the project. We hope to, but I'm sure along our journey, we will be asked questions and we'll discover things that we haven't even thought of in terms of the project. But for us, it's reassuring and it gives us confidence that it's a strategic aim of Welsh Government. So in Wales, education is separate to the rest of the UK, and that it's given strategic importance within our own strategic digital plan that's signed off by Welsh Government and Welsh Government's strategic plan itself in equipping learners and equipping staff with the skills that they need to address the changing face of the digital world, really.
Wonderful, thank you. And the emphasis on the learner and their experience is obviously important. But from the government point of view and the sharing of that knowledge, are you working towards publishing that into the public domain? Is that something that people will be able to see? And what sort of timescale are you working to?
Welsh Government will compile the recommendations and compile the outcomes of all of the 3 projects. Often this is facilitated by JISC. So JISC, I would imagine, will write up the outcomes of all the projects and share that not only across the educational landscape in Wales, but across the UK. We hope to run Teach Meet sort of programmes so that we can share that across the FE landscape. Leanne may have a bit more to say about that.
Do you want to tell us who JISC is? There are lots of people here who are not in the education sector, sorry.
Do you want to finish, Kate, or do you want me to do it?
If you could just, I think a little bit about the background, the JISC stuff, and you mentioned Teach Me, and I spoke over the top of that, sorry. Just for the people in the audience who aren't part of the education sector directly, or not in Wales or not in the UK, could you just a little bit more about how people may be able to access this learning?
So, just to quickly answer, JISC, I can't remember what it stands for now, but they're an organisation that supports technology in terms of infrastructure across further and higher education in the UK, and it supports and facilitates innovation through different technologies and the curriculum. They will often be employed by Welsh Government as a critical friend to help all of the outputs of the projects put together, which will then be published via their website and Welsh Government website. We will be doing in-person sharing, which Leanne, maybe you want to talk about a bit more?
Great, thank you. Well, I've got 2 questions, Leanne. One is about the in-college learning and sharing, but equally about your peers in other colleges locally and the networks that you're part of. Is this sparking a discussion?
Yeah, absolutely. So internally, we have a sharing practice event at the end of the year. Actually, this year we're going to have a festival of practice. It's going to be a 5-day sharing practice. And what we will be doing at the end is sharing the outcomes of the project. But what we're working on with the digital peer mentors is going, it's the next phase actually. Now, once we've procured our tools, which as we said, digital accessibility is as a selection and a procurement activity. Once we've done that, we've picked curriculum areas that we will be focusing on. So for example, higher education, a certain subject area in higher education, humanities, vocational education, academic quals. We're going to be picking those areas and piloting those tools and doing proper kind of impact assessments and then cascading those out, and we're going to do them through a series of teach meets. Teach meet is what it says in the tin, bring a load of teachers together to meet and talk about what experiences are. And we will do that first of all on what we call our professional learning network, which is a series of 4 colleges in South West Wales. And we're going to bring together drive that day is actually AI and inclusive education. Sorry to pinch the title, but we're going to be talking about what we've all done in isolation and then what we've done as a project. But actually, we're collaborating on inclusion and accessibility as a PLN. So we're actually pooling funds together to be able to address different elements of education, 4 pillars again. So we're going to be looking at student experience, virtual learning environments, external communications and the learner experience. And we're all trying to share ideas, resources and activities so that we're not reinventing the wheel, because I'm really passionate about that. This isn't something education should be competitive about. We shouldn't be competing with other colleges on how accessible we are. This is about the value of learners and the value of education, so it should become a priority. And what we hope at the end of the project is to have a teach meet again, and we will be looking to host some of it online that maybe other people could dive in and listen to share the outcomes and then share at that festival of practice at the end of the year internally, because it goes back to the question you asked, Mark. If we can get over the fear internally, we can roll out the cascade and it will help us move that phase 2 and phase 3 with all the rest of the tools that we're looking for.
Brilliant. I'm going to see if there's any questions in the audience. Does anybody have a question? We've got time for... I'm going to have somebody's hand shot up over there behind Miles. Miles, you can...
See, I needed to turn my chair around.
Yeah, now you're in the right place.
There we are.
Now, Liam.
Hi, my name's Katie Tomaszewski. I wanted to ask what your learners feel about this, and do they know that their personal profiles are being fed into AI machines?
Yes. I'm piloting it with one group at the moment. We don't want to roll it out totally and get ourselves into all kinds of trouble. So these are negotiated with learners and parents to say that we're going to use, we're going to work together to input this information in and try and make a more bespoke plan for the learners. So yeah, they're aware of that. Some of my learners are also using it then to create their plans, their destination plans as well. They might not be able to verbalise or might not be able to. In fact, planning is difficult for most people as a concept. So the learners are using OpenAI to sort of create a plan for the steps they need to take in order to get to their destination. So.
Yeah.
Oh, they love it. They're really happy about it. Yeah.
Can I ask Liam on a supplementary, the parents in that relationship? I like this question. I mean, I don't know about, it's not quite permissions, but preference. How do parents feel about those tools within the conversations you're having with them, with the learners? And
yeah,
you
I think parents, the purpose of this is to make the learning experience more bespoke and better for the learner. So I think the buy-in is there from parents, because they understand. It's like using any technology to support our curriculum. So it just we're just using this to support our curriculum. So there hasn't been there may be issues, but I can't see them. Maybe GDPR and data issues around that, but we're not overly personalising anything at the moment with names and with any kind of information regarding identity. So we're just sort of putting in the words that we're shaping from the one-page profile and taking out any kind of specific references to people. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Miles, did you have a question? Sorry, I saw there's a couple of hands up as well here.
I know that the needs of complexity. I'm a special schools teacher for so many years. Do you think AI is capable of getting right down to very detailed responses towards, say, a collected database of recognised strategies or importance?
Yeah.
How good or is the quality of the AI to meet that?
I think we're going to find out. I mean, we're really at the early stages of this, and we're going to find out. I think it's going to do a better job than we can as humans. It'll be interesting to see how detailed it can be and how detailed we want it. We want it to be really. But we're in the early stages of this. This is a few weeks in, so we don't really know that yet. But
cool. So some hands. There's one here. That's
I
great.
just wanted to quickly follow up on the question with students, and also maybe a bit of an answer and a tip to the previous question. It's actually there are actually many of these like ChatGPT and Claude have a toggle to say that you shouldn't use their data, people's own chats for training. So it's not actually automatically that this will happen. And many of them just don't do it by default anyway. So it's perhaps not as much of a worry as compared to like a Tesco club card or things like that in terms of knowing things about you. But I just want to kind of check with what you said. Students love it, but how are they actually kind of using it in a way that it's helping them for learning? Because then there's loads of ways to have fun with it. But how is it? Have they sort of figured out interesting ways in which I can help this to help me understand something or help me sort of think about the assignment in a different way, or maybe even plan something? So
Leanne, to answer that from a.
I don't know if you can come back with your area, but certainly one of the ways we're actually looking at it from some of the, not so much in Leah's area, is we're actually looking at flipping the learning. Actually, it makes the lesson more accessible for the learner because they're often, as I said, the diversity in the statement of inclusion is really, really wide. Sometimes we have learners that don't necessarily understand the question being asked, aren't able to go home and do the homework, aren't able to literally understand the language of the question or the exam question. Exam papers are set in a very strange way, and that's another barrier actually. But so what we're actually doing is flipping the learning. We're asking, and this is going to be part of the next phase of the project, we're going to ask the learners, because they're going to use it, to use generative AI to answer a piece of work as a homework question. Bring the answer in. Okay. Actually, we're going to give the loosest titles. This is an example. The loosest titles for what they're going to do. They will all use and refine their own prompts. That's critical thinking. That's a skill that's being developed there. When they come into their lesson, this is where I talk about the richness and having more time in the lesson. We will do peer assessment, peer work, discussion, debate. Why was your essay different? What was good about yours? What was really bad about that? What should we unpick? Where's the bias? All the skills that we really need to start nurturing, because AI is going to give us knowledge. We're teachers about facilitating learning. We're not knowledge imparters. That's what we need to realise as educators. So we're going to flip the learning, and then within the classroom, it'll be right. After all the debate, all the discussion, everything we've had, write now a new answer, write a better answer, write a more informed answer. But what it's done is that learner that doesn't want to come in because they didn't understand the question, that learner that doesn't want to be included is turning up because they have parity of experience. They are now included in the lesson. So that's just a kind of an example that we will be, as one example that I could probably give over.
Great. It's 10 past, I'm afraid.
Sorry.
We are... no, that's fine. We're definitely going to stop. I think we might be running another event about this. So I've got one final question, because I'm allowed to do this. Liam, what do you think you're going to be using AI for in the classroom in a year's time? Because you wouldn't have been doing this a year ago, would you?
No, absolutely not.
What's on the horizon for you?
I really don't know.
Where are you looking?
I think my purpose. I really like helping other people. So if I can help other staff, new staff, experienced staff, as my role as a digital peer mentor, in overcome any barriers to them using AI, I think that's where it's.
That's the key next step, the next frontier of that change.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, that's wonderful insight into an amazing project, so thank you so much for sharing with us. I'm sure we've all got questions about that, and that's something you can chat to them about over lunch. They're around. So thank you, everybody, and thank you, guys, for
Thank you.
sharing.
Thank you.
So, final of the three legs of the AI journey. I can see Robin attempting to be discreet at the back there. I can see Hans attempting to be discreet in the middle of the audience there, not sitting where they were meant to sit. Where's Michelle? Michelle is sitting where she's meant to sit. You'll have heard of Be My Eyes, I'm sure, and I'm pleased to say that Hans from Be My Eyes has been at TechShare Pro before, so he's a friend of TechShare Pro and AbilityNet. What we're going to learn about today is their new service, Be My AI. Session's going to be hosted by Robin, joined by Michelle from Sony.
Thanks.
You go. I'm going to tell you when they're ready on the text. So you find your seat. Go to your right, your left. Sorry. That's it. That's your seat.
Thanks.
Right, Hugo, sit down, mate. And Hans and Michelle are to your left.
Oh,
Yeah, watch out for that.
Sorry, that was my fault.